Welcome to the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay. This is your positive path for spiritual living.
Change is in the air. I think it was Charles Fillmore who once said, if he had not named Unity Unity, he would have named it Change. So welcome to the Change community. We're happy you're here, and we are changing. While it is true that every Sunday here at Unity on the Bay for me is auspicious, this morning is especially auspicious because, and I'm going to make it through this, I promise. I've told you many times stories and remembrances of my decade of working with this man at Unity Village and with his beautiful, brilliant wife. And they called me, or I guess it was initially a Facebook message to say that they had been trying to reach me because they wanted to come visit Unity on the Bay. Jim Murgy and myself were executive vice presidents of Unity Village from the early, like 1990 until about 2000, for a decade. And this man is my brother. And I have to say, if you have in any way gleaned even a sparkle of spiritual inspiration from the words you've heard me speak, know that the fellow I'm about to introduce you to is the one responsible in so many ways for birthing ideas in my heart that now have become living realities. So please just spare me a moment here and let me ask you to welcome my dear brother and friend, Reverend Jim Rose Murgy, and his wife, Nancy, to Unity on the Bay.
Thank you, buddy.
Love you.
Love you.
You know, I told him he was the one that taught me how to cry. And I know you're going to find this impossible to believe that I went through a period in life where it was very difficult for me to shed tears, because I do it all the time up here on Sundays now. But thank you for that and for so much more. You are a blessing to the world, both of you. I'm so grateful you're here. And I'm deeply grateful for everybody that's in this room every Sunday. I especially want to take a moment to thank those of you who might happen to be with us for the first or second time at Unity on the Bay. If this is your first or second Unity on the Bay experience, would you raise your hands so that we can welcome you and send a wave of love in your direction? We are so grateful you are here. Now, we know that the world has tried to tell you who and what you are for many, 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 many years. But you're in the right place this morning to hear the truth about who you are. We know that you are made in the image and likeness of God, and that you are a radiant reflection of that essence, regardless of anything the world of time and space may have to say about you. We know the truth, and we're deeply grateful that you brought that truth into our company this morning. We'd like to ask you to look in front of you in those little pockets behind the seats, because we have what we call a connection card. Before you depart our company today, if you feel so guided, please take a moment to complete that connection card and walk it with yourself to our Welcome Center located at this far end of the foyer. We have a gift to thank you for being with us, and we would love to have the chance to get to know you better. Thank you so much for being in our company this morning. Well, dear friends, as you know, we are in a time of change. We're always in a time of change, but sometimes, you know, the time of change becomes a little more evident, right? And you know that we're in the process, have been for some time now, of selling the property that we're stationed at right now and moving into our future and into a new home. Along those lines, we are blessed by the presence this morning of my brother, a sacred friend. I said I have the best of my past on one side of me this morning and the best of my present on the other. Please join me in welcoming to the platform the president of the Board of Trustees of Unity on the Bay, Eddie Dominguez.
Good morning, Unity family. So the song said it best. It's been a long time coming. And I'm here to tell you today that we have closed our transaction. It happened on Friday. I'm going to invite all of you to look at the seat back in front of you for a second. There's a name there. And a lot of us come in and out of here every Sunday and don't really pay attention to that name that's in front of us, right? But those names are people who came before us. It's their shoulders that we stand on today. It's because of them that we had this magnificent site to sell that is, in effect, going to finance the bright future of our ministry. That's something that was not lost on me on last week. It was actually Tuesday when we signed the papers. You think of closings as this like huge thing where everyone's sitting at a table signing papers and all this stuff is happening, but that's not how it works. Really, it's very kind of boring. Basically, the lawyer called and said, hey, when do you want to come sign a bunch of these papers? Okay, how about Tuesday? All right, perfect. So I'm there on Tuesday at our law firm on Brickell, and I see the papers on the desk. I got there a little bit earlier. It's this big, actually not desk, big boardroom table. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing this all by myself. No, I get on the phone right away, and I call Reverend Chris. I'm like, Chris, what are you doing? He goes, oh, waiting for a delivery. I'm like, great. How long? 5 minutes. Okay, can you get in an Uber and come over here right away, please? And Reverend Chris, I'm grateful, jumped in an Uber, came over to our law firm. We prayed and began the process of signing the documents. I will tell you that that was the heaviest pen I have ever wielded in my life. It was a little plastic pen, but it sure felt like 800 pounds. There we are at the law firm at the head of the table. One of the things that impressed me, and I'm very grateful for those people who came here and kept this property even through some very tough times in the 80s and early 90s, is that this property was purchased for $84,000. And when I looked at the closing statement and I see over $30 million on it, I was really grateful. So can I hear a thank you, God? But history weighed on us a little bit still. As I looked at some of the original articles of incorporation, it was actually kind of cool to see it, and I think we have a picture of it. We saw the 1929 articles of incorporation that were signed by Reverend May Cornell Stoiber, who brought Unity to Miami after the 1926 hurricane. I took a little I don't know if the word is pleasure, but relief in knowing it took her 3 years to incorporate and it took us about 4 years to sell. But things are going to speed up now, and they're going to really get fast. We have to be out of this building. Technically, right now, we are tenants as of Friday. We will need to be on our way by the first week of April. What that means is we are moving to Temple, Israel, which, if you don't know, it's on 19th and 2nd Avenue, and we expect to have our first services there as soon as the middle of March. So we're in the process of building our move calendar, and we will be communicating a lot of information in a very short period of time. We are currently preparing for the move. I'm probably really annoying to Reverend Chris right now because I'm calling him every day for updates on things that need to happen for our move to happen, but I'm grateful to Reverend Chris and the entire staff that's working to make this happen. So we'll be having classes and we'll be having services at Temple Israel beginning in March, and we will be moving our administrative offices into lease space in an office building on Biscayne Boulevard. It could even be the one right next door. We're in the final process of making a selection for our administrative space. And we're also going to resume our search for our next stop, wherever that may be. I don't know. We are open to all of the amazing possibilities that the universe has ready for us to unfold. So I hope you're all excited about the future that Unity on the Bay has. I can assure you it is an incredibly bright one. $30 million will pave quite the future for Unity on the Bay, and I trust that we will all walk together in faith as we have that future revealed to us. Thank you very much.
I've been breathing very deeply all weekend long. One of the great benefits, assets that we have here at Unity is our teaching. And our teaching is well equipped to lead us through this time of change. And I remind you, we have a Spirit Groups program that Kevin was talking about earlier that's going to be coming up. Stop by that table because we need you to participate in that, not only to maintain the integrity of our community through this time of change, but also because the book that we're utilizing, Finding Yourself in Transition, is one of the best books I have ever read on the subject of managing change from a spiritual perspective. So I hope you'll be a part of that. exciting program. So, you've heard me share many times from this platform about my wayward years in college. I was raised in Unity, but I was also a rebel, and I liked adventure, and I didn't see why I couldn't carry those right onto the campus of Kansas State University back in the 1970s. But they had problems with that. They thought I was a bit of a squeaky wheel, and they didn't really think that I was very mature. And I remember one time toward the end of my brief career at Kansas State University, my counselor came up to me and said, "Young man, you need to grow up and face reality." And I remember shortly thereafter, I came across two statements that have been very impactful to me. They were then, and they continue to be today. Here they are. Never face reality. Don't do it. Never, ever, ever face reality. Always create reality. Create reality. You see, if you're busy facing reality because we feel like that's the responsible thing to do, I've got to face reality here, what you're facing is the effect. You're facing the result of the thought matter that you've been holding on to. And as long as you're preoccupied with that, that's what you're going to keep reproducing. The creative mind is the mind that realizes that thought is actually creating experience, and that you are free to change your thought at any time. Your thought does not need to be dictated to you by external individuals and circumstances. Your thought is creative. It's a creative impulse. And this is important to remember as we make this journey in our own spiritual waking up. It's been a year ago that my mom made her transition. A few years prior to that, I had to make the decision to make her a resident down the street at Miami Jewish Health. And I was not looking forward to the moment where we had this conversation. So I sat before her and I said, "Mom, I need for you to know that because of your condition, it's going to be necessary for you to reside in a care facility." And she just looked at me and her face broke into this great big grin. She said, "Well, that's beautiful." And I was surprised and a little bit shocked. And I said, "Well, great. Couldn't ask for a better response." She said, "Don't you remember the story that I've told you so many times? It's the story of a daughter who had to go to her mother to say, 'Mom, we have to move you into a nursing home.' And her mother responded by saying, 'That's beautiful.' And the daughter said, 'What do you mean it's beautiful? You're not even there yet. You haven't been in the room. You don't know what the facility's like.' And the mother responded to the daughter by saying, 'It doesn't matter. It's going to be beautiful.'" Now I want you to take this in for a minute. The woman, whatever age she might have been at, along with my mom, they made up their minds as to what the experience was going to be, regardless of conditional circumstances that were happening outside of them. This is brilliant, my friends. You're free to do the same thing, and I just guarantee you that if you can be audacious enough to make up your mind as to how you want something to be, including the entirety of your life or life on this planet, you have the creative power to make it happen. You're an unconditional spiritual expression of the one presence and the one power that is God. You are unconditional. You are not subject to conditions and circumstances. Do you hear me? You're not a conditional being. You're the creator of conditions. And you can create any kind of conditions that you want. I think this is so juicy. So some of you know I've been working with values now for several years and trying to recognize the importance of really getting clear on what it is I value, because what you value is what you find importance in, and what you find importance in is what you will draw into your experience. And I have found for myself, and I'm not asking you to accept these for yourself, I am asking you or encouraging you to consider what is really of value to you. I've come up with what for me are what I call 6 cosmic values, and every one of them is unconditional in nature. In other words, I can hold this value as a priority in my own consciousness and watch as it manifests in my world regardless of what's going on out here. Because my life is a from within to without experience. The first one, actually, I have to be honest with you. I have the most spiritually deepening and enriching experiences down here at the Publix store at 18th Street and Biscayne Boulevard, 17th or 18th, wherever it is. Every time I go to the grocery store, I have spiritual illumination, but it's not always fun. Like it wasn't just this past week, I'm standing in line because I had some things I wanted to return at the customer service desk, and there was a lady in front of me, and there was a lady behind me, and I'm patiently waiting my turn, and the lady behind me just decides to step out around me, step in front of me, and cut in line. And I'm finding the most interesting dialogue going on in my head now at this point. I'm thinking, who does this woman think she is? She has no right to stay. I was here first. There's proper etiquette, protocol. Someone needs to talk to this woman. And I've got this whole thing going on in my mind now about how irritating this woman is, and I don't even know her. I just know one action that she participated in. Now, in that moment, I had the opportunity to practice one of my basic cosmic values, which is peace, which is a deep and abiding sense of well-being. And in that moment, I just closed my eyes, and I thought, oh my God, this demon in front of me in the line, she's actually an angel. She's an angel. You see, I mistook her. And she's an angel because what was she really doing? She was giving me an opportunity to prove to myself that my peace is not conditional. It doesn't matter what she did. It doesn't matter at all. What matters is who am I in the midst of this situation? And that's true for all of us. So if you really want to become spiritually enlightened, following the service, make a quick trip down to Publix. I don't mind telling you that after the news of Eddie, like this Tuesday, and realizing the finality of this destination, also appreciating that change is an ongoing process, and we are in the best of hands. We're in God's hands. But I will say there are moments when I feel just a little bit overwhelmed by everything that's going on because there's so much to do and so much faster than we thought we were going to have to do it. And the other morning I woke up and I felt this level of stress and anxiety inside of me, and so I closed my eyes and I called on Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad and everybody I could think of that might be available at that hour of the morning. Because I said, I need an affirmation here. I really do, because I'm freaking out. I was freaking out. And here's what came to me. I don't know whether it was Jesus or Buddha or God or whatever it was, but here's the words that came to me. How much fun can we have doing this together? So I just held on to that. How much fun? Who says that all of this change has to be anxiety producing? Why don't we just have fun instead? You see, I'm not going to depend on the conditions of the move and the timetables. I want to have fun. Now, do I suspect that I will be challenged again and even maybe have to call on Jesus again in the middle of the night? Very possibly. But I got what I needed in that moment, and it's holding me in a space right now where I can anticipate a really good time through this period of change. I can be exuberant, I can be enthusiastic, I can be full of anticipation, and I can let creativity flow through every atom and cell of my being and body. Now, since the first of the year, I've been visited by somebody that I don't care too much for. His name is Common Cold. It's been up here for the most part, and I've been working with it both from a spiritual and a practical level in terms of medications and so forth and doing my emergency and all of that. But the other morning, actually at the first of the year, I got this inspiration to start working the whole 365 lessons of A Course in Miracles, starting on the 1st of January. So somewhere in the first 30 lessons, I came across this one. It was actually the morning when I thought I was not going to even be able to make it into work because this cold was starting to feel so predominant. I am not a victim of the world I see. I am not a victim of the world I see. I am not a victim of colds, flus, coughs, runny noses, congestion. I am not a victim of this. And in that moment, I was able to make a decision. I realized I was investing in the cold. Now, why was I investing in the head cold? I'm not sure. Probably feeling like, well, I'm a little stressed and it's natural I would have a head. No, I'm not going to go there. Instead, I'm going to realize I am not a victim of circumstances. If you want to join me, by the way, in this deeper recognition of the power of A Course in Miracles, please take a moment to join Kevin today at 1 o'clock over in the Cameron House. He has been my teacher. I've got 2 of my teachers here. But Kevin's been my mentor with A Course in Miracles. Very valuable. I am not a victim of the world I see. Back around the holidays, I flew to Kansas City to brave the elements and to experience the beautiful warmth of my little 8-year-old granddaughter, Ashlyn. And I really was looking forward to going to see the movie Mary Poppins Returns because I'd heard really great reviews about it, and I thought, this just sounds like something I would really enjoy doing with my granddaughter. So my former wife, Karen, and my daughter, Angela, and Ashlyn and myself, we all went off to a really, really nice movie theater. You know, movie theaters just ain't what they used to be now. They're really, really like luxurious experiences. So I'm just savoring it in, and I just enjoyed every single piece of this film. I thought the music, I thought the acting, I thought the metaphysics and the mysticism that was knitted all in between. It was so fascinating. So when we got out of the movie theater and into the car, it's cold and I'm kind of wound up and I'm just going, God, that was the best movie I've ever seen. And wasn't it just wonderful? Didn't you guys just think that was great? And all the way home, I'm talking about what a great movie this was. And then we finally get in the house and I'm still talking about what a great movie this was. And little 8-year-old Ashlyn comes up to me and says, Grandpa, you know, you're a little annoying in your enthusiasm. Opportunity. Suddenly, my little 8-year-old precious angel is turning into the enemy right before my eyes. Who do you think you are talking to your grandfather like that? What do you mean I'm annoying you? And there I went off on another tangent instead of realizing there was another one of those cosmic values I could call on, and that was unconditional love. Unconditional love. Unconditional service begins with service to ourselves. We must take care of ourselves. Many of us pride ourselves on being tremendous caregivers, and we're out there providing for everybody else, but not really caring for ourselves. So our God-given gifts must first come to bless us, and then as they bless us, we are then able to bless others. Unconditional service. You have to make up your mind, I'm going to be of service regardless of what response or favor I receive from anybody or anything around me. And the last one is unconditional supply. There are so many gems of truth that you, Jim, have shared with me over the years. But I remember, and they were not always easy for me, you will recall. You would tell me certain things and it would be like, okay, you know. Because they were, as spiritual thought so often is, in direct contradiction sometimes to the thoughts of the world. But what he said to me was this: manifestation is none of your business. Manifestation, that is how things show up out here, is none of your business. And if you're preoccupied with manifestation, then you're perhaps not giving the energy or putting the concentration into the state of mind that is creating that manifestation. Do you follow me? In other words, you're caught up in the results of what you've been doing instead of being the creative impetus to make something new happen. And every one of us has the capacity to do that, but we have to recognize the manifestation is none of our business because the manifestation takes care of itself. If you're in the right consciousness, if you're in the right state of mind, if you're holding the right thoughts and feelings, you don't have to worry about the manifestation. Your job is to be the gatekeeper of your own awareness, your own consciousness, and then you're walking through life with this overwhelming sense of gratitude, appreciation, financial well-being, generosity everywhere you go. It's unavoidable. I close this morning by sharing the words of a fellow who's going to be with us at the beginning of March, so be sure and go online and get your tickets for Neil Donald Walsh, the author of Conversations with God. He's a brilliant spokesperson for spirit on our planet today. And he says this: the deepest secret is that life is not a process of discovery, but a process of creation. You are not discovering yourself, but creating anew. Seek, therefore, not to find out who you are, but seek to determine who you want to be. Don't get all caught up in what you perceive yourself to be right now, what you think you are, and don't get caught up in what you think the world is right now. Instead, what is it that you want it to be? You are a brilliant, ingenious, and powerful creator, my friends, and that's why you're here. Take charge of what you are creating and find joy in it. Find unconditional peace, unconditional life, unconditional love, unconditional service, and unconditional supply. And you will wake up every morning of your eternal life without preoccupation as to what the day is going to bring your way, because you will be generating a vibrational and energetic field that will allow nothing but the goodness and the greatness and the cosmic values that constitute your God expressing as you and as your world. God bless you.
Wow. Kind of have to let that settle in for a minute. That we are not here to face reality. We are here to create our reality. Let's say that together. I don't face reality. I create reality. Thank you for that. That was just so beautiful and so powerful. So if you have been spiritually fed today, and I would say we've had many ministers up here. We've had this beautiful music. We've had Chris Arroyo sharing with us, and we've got Kevin doing something afterward at 1 p.m. This is your opportunity to get into the flow of giving. Now you have not only received from us, but we encourage you to also give. So if you want to take a moment, you can in our prosperity opportunity right now. Choose to give either through the envelopes that are in front of you, or if you want to go green, text UOTB to 73256. That's UOTB 73256. We believe this is a sacred act that you are engaging in by offering of your treasure, and we will give you a moment to be with that and hold it to your heart. We thank you for your gift, and together we are going to bless these tithes and offerings. And I think our blessing's coming up shortly. There we go. Divine love that I am blesses all that I give and all that I receive.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay, a spiritual community located in Miami, Florida. Unity on the Bay is supported by the generosity of its community. If you'd like to make a donation or learn more about Unity on the Bay, please visit unityonthebay.org. You can also follow Unity on the Bay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for even more positive spiritual inspiration. Until next time, thanks for listening and many blessings. Namaste.